Good evening. Welcome to the Municipality of South Dundas Regular Council meeting for Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. Welcome, council team, staff, guests, media, and all those watching online. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Item number 1, let it resolve that the August 14th, 2024 council meeting of the Municipality of South Dundas now be opened at 6:06 p.m. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Moving to item number 2, confirmation of agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments? Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad, and through you to council, I would like to make an amendment under, item 10A under discussion for the plaza bollards. They're actually meant to be under consent.
Okay. This is to be consent? Okay.
Yes.
So 10A becomes 9 L and O,
Correct, yeah.
if I'm correct. Any other additions, deletions, amendments? All right, seeing none, I have a motion, let it resolve that the Council of Municipality of South Dundas approve the agenda as amended. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest of the general nature thereof tonight? Seeing none, moving to number 4, adoption of minutes. Are there any error or omissions for the meeting minutes of July 17th meeting? Seeing none, I have a motion, let it resolve that the minutes of the following meeting, including closed session, be adopted as presented. The meeting of July 17th, 2024. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, move to number 5, delegations. Under A, Matilda landfill closure plan. We have Jennifer Brown Hahn from WSP tonight. Welcome, Jennifer.
There we go. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, council and mayor and deputy mayor. Thanks for having me tonight. As you are aware, the Matilda waste disposal site is nearing capacity. And as per the requirements of its environmental compliance approval, you're required to submit to the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks closure plan a minimum of 2 years prior to the closure activities occurring. The closure plan is developed in, sorry, it's scrolling up there. Thanks. No, that's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. So the closure plan is developed as per the regulations from the Ministry of the Environment. Sorry, my words got mixed up there. Yes, so it's developed in conjunction with the Landfill Standards Guide produced by the Ministry of Environment, as well as the requirements of the environmental compliance approval. In the plan, the closure plan, it details the activities that are required for closure of the site, including site security, public notification, the details of the actual physical closure of the landfill, so how it's being graded, the final cover application and design, as well as the final the topsoil cover and design. It also details the post-closure care for the site. So once the site is actually physically closed, what's required following that. And that includes the post-closure monitoring, so the monitoring of the groundwater, surface water, landfill gas. The post-closure report, which likely continue to be annual for a period of time, and eventually one would suspect that it'll be maybe every 2 years or so on. It also includes the requirements for inspection and maintenance of the site following post-closure, and the requirements for record keeping. So the municipality would have to set up inspections of the final cap and of the entire site. Typically, the inspection for the first year is a monthly basis, and then it can be extended to quarterly or semi-annually. Also included in the plan is contingency measures for various items such as exceedances of parameters or leachate outbreaks or a fire emergency or whatnot, spills, stuff like that. And it details an estimate of contaminated lifespan for the landfill. In 2023, December 2023, a topographic survey was completed of the landfill. And it was compared to the topographic survey that was completed in 2022. And based on that evaluation, it was determined that the landfill has 1.2 years remaining lifespan from December of 2023. It's recognized that the municipality, in an effort to extend the lifespan of the landfill, has diverted the curbside municipal waste from the landfill. And however, it's still recommended that we submit this closure plan to the ministry for their approval, such that closure activities can commence at the site. Do you have any questions? I know it was really fast, but.
No, that's excellent. That's an update where we're at. Yeah, thank you for the information. Obviously, we've been monitoring and continuing all of our other activities when it comes to the landfill and what we're doing. But questions tonight, comments, or Councilor Ward?
I just think it's, thank you, Jennifer, for doing this, and I know it's a lot of work to put together a closure plan. I know it's the second one you've done here for us in South Dundas, so I appreciate it. But I think it's also important to highlight that, you know, one of the things I got out of this report is that we're responsible for this landfill for at least another 67 years. So I probably won't be here in 67 years. I mean, it'd be great if I was, but it's just to speak to why, you know, we're looking for alternative options in the future of dealing with waste, because being responsible for closing a landfill and then also being responsible for another 67 years is crazy, and the costs that are associated with that are also crazy. So again, thank you for doing this, and in my opinion, the sooner we close it, the better. So yeah.
Good. Well, thank you. Yeah, I had a couple of questions, Jennifer. Anything for us to learn, since Councilor Ward did mention Williamsburg, anything that we learned from that closure that we are doing on this one, or it's just pretty much standard, since we're a lot of new staff and new council from that era?
I have to say, our covering, sorry, I speak our like I'm
Yeah, of
part of the team. The application of daily cover had improved over time, and keeping the shape, you know, the way it's supposed to be, has improved as well.
Right.
If you know, at Williamsburg, we did have fill beyond the limit of the footprint, and we had to bring that in before we applied our final cover. When we did the final cover at Williamsburg, the one thing that was nice is that you were doing a project in the area, so we were able to use that. Right. Not that I'm saying let's start another project, but we were able to use that to cover because it met the requirements for final cover. One thing I would say that we could do to maybe help the costs, reduce the costs in the future, move the costs out over a longer span, is start the closure activities as soon as we can for the areas that have reached capacity.
Right, okay.
And that sort of, as opposed to with Williamsburg, it was kind of all done at once.
Okay.
And, you know, you end up with that large hit economically. It just makes more sense to do it as we reach that capacity. Now, we know that we are at capacity in areas at the landfill already, obviously, if we only have about a year, actually less than that at this point, left. So it might be something for council to look at.
Sure. Well, that's good. That's good. That's excellent that we learned from our previous landfill, so that was good. So I guess next steps for us, do you have a question? Oh, sorry, Councilor Ward, yeah.
Going to ask to Jennifer's point, if perhaps that aside from this report, if we could have some sort of graphic or map that we could have for staff to know when to start doing certain areas of the landfill to cap, and then we can start working on it that way. It might be better for budgeting. I just thought maybe if that's
Yep.
something that
Yep.
we could look into.
Definitely.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's part of this.
Yeah, that's what I was,
Yeah.
not, I was gonna say that, but I was gonna say, I guess next step would be like a staff report back to, what we think the next steps should be, and then we can start acting on the next steps, including the application. So we should, get on that right away, to your point, right? Let's start the process right away. And if you think about the 1.2 years at December, we used 7 months of that, so 5 months left. So we, we obviously have diverted our curbside, but we're still using it for some of our drop off today. So we'll continue to have that space, and then as the plan develops and we start covering and going from there, we'll have a solid plan in place. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Have a great evening.
you too. Okay, we'll move to action request number 6A, ED 2024-03, surplus lands listing. Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad, and to council. So the report before you is a result of the committee of the whole meeting that we had last month, July 17th, where we discussed and reviewed a number of properties that could be considered deemed surplus by the municipality. So the list that we've presented, there's 9 properties here that we're recommending to declare a surplus. And the rationale behind declaring these ones, I guess we're doing this in 2 phases. So the first phase was kind of the easy wins. They were the quick, yes, we can get rid of this one. And then another report's going to follow at a future meeting with the properties that have a little bit more digging staff research to do, what may be required. So the list before you is kind of our quick properties that we could potentially declare surplus to start the process of putting those up for sale or doing what we need to prepare them. So if you have any questions on the properties, I know Director Jansen is willing to jump in to answer any technical questions. But in terms of process, once we declare these, if council chooses to declare all these properties surplus, then we could proceed with the next steps on making them available for public sale.
Okay, thanks, Clerk LeBrun. Yep, so these were from our committee of the whole meeting, properties that we felt could definitely be sold without the public input, which we're going to work on for other properties, the parklands, some of the other properties. So these were the 9 properties, as you stated. They would then be deemed surplus and then could be put up for sale. Now, do they all have to be sold in the same manner? Are there opportunities within those 9 properties to, just put up for sale, or would we look for a request for proposal on any of these properties? Could be something we could consider on these specific properties. Obviously, the ones we looked at, a lot of them link to a farmer's field or is just a building lot, right? Which are kind of pretty simple, but maybe there's a couple others that may be other proposals, but comments or questions? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. I guess I was just wondering, do we have a set timeline for the phase 2 of this the surplus land?
To get,
Yes.
just to get the list and to
Yes.
get the information.
Yes.
I think the timeline that we have, I believe, perhaps we didn't put it, but we're aiming for the fall, so September, October.
Okay.
It's something that we're working on as we speak. So
Okay, perfect. And just, there was one particular property that I didn't know why it would fall under phase 2, and that's the one that we talked about at the Iroquois, where the old Lockmasters building was.
So do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so just through you guys did have a little bit more research that you guys did request, a little bit of hydraulic stuff and some topographics. So we just wanted to, rather than rush into it, we just wanted to slow that one down and just make sure that we're there. And then there was a little bit of discussion as to, one big lot. It's
Okay.
a larger property, so we just wanted to slow that one down and not rush into it. And I believe it would probably come into a little bit more on the public consultation side. There'll be some discussions, I'm sure, on that one, so just,
Okay, yeah, thank you for the clarification. Appreciate that.
Councillor Ward?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I just had two comments about two properties. So the first comment I had was County Road 16 property. So this is the one beside Matilda. And I've had some apprehension about this one for some time and looking to council. So I understand that we're listing these as surplus, but I was under the impression that we might sever some of these properties. My concern is the L shape around Matilda. I would think that Matilda Hall would benefit from keeping the back half and then leaving the one, I guess, to the south of the parking lot. Just keeping it one straight linear lot, then an L, just in case we ever needed to do any work at Matilda. Specifically, if the septic ever failed and we needed to do a new one. I don't know where we would put a new one if we didn't have that back portion. So that's my thoughts on County Road 16. And then my other comment was County Road 2, which is that big 15-acre property we have. And I did speak to the mayor about this, but I'd really like to see us do something different there rather than just list it for sale like every other property. Some of the bigger cities, and actually I believe South Stormont, have recently done RFPs for property that they own for development, requesting that, developers submit to what they think would best fit something like that. And hopefully as part of that RFP process, we also receive some bids for maybe some affordable housing from developers. So I'd kind of like to see something done differently with just that property specifically because of its location and access to infrastructure. So those are just my two comments.
Yeah, I think for the Matilda piece, we did kind of have that conversation that, that it looked like more than one piece potentially for the farm at the back and then the housing at the front of that. So that does make sense to maybe consider that septic piece and how much we should want and sever that into two. That makes sense. Yeah, Councillor Smith?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. So just getting back to the Matilda one, I would be in favor of selling the back part. However, the septic thing is an issue because the last thing we want to do would be to sell it and end up having to buy maybe a half acre of it back just to put a septic on. So the question regarding the septic would be, if for some reason all of a sudden just the septic failed at Matilda and we had to shut the building down until something was done, could we excavate the old septic and put a new septic in exactly the same spot? Could we do that? I don't know. That would be a question. I know ideally you would build the new one beside it so that the building would never have to be shut down, but just
through you, Mayor Rod, I don't think you'll get anybody in this room to commit to an answer without doing more research on that.
yeah. So that that would be a question with that one. Another one that I would question selling right now would be the one at Dundela. I don't think that just getting rid of parkland right now, I was sad to see that the rink went away there, and I just think if we started selling the rest of the land around and just keep a small sliver of it, that one just kind of just eats away at my soul like a little bit. That one, I'm having a hard time with that one. So I think that should stay parkland.
Any other comments, discussion? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. I guess just in response to that last parcel of land, though, councillors, that I believe we did have a fruitful discussion about that. And I think some of us acknowledge that, yes, we don't want to give away open space parkland. I'm in favor of that as well. But I think for this particular parcel or these two parcels, they are unused. Nobody uses these parcels, and I don't foresee us creating a big park area in these two parcels. The rink was there, but there's also two rinks within the vicinity, close vicinity, that the people can utilize. So me personally, I'm okay with still having these properties on the list.
Councillor Ward?
Through you, Mayor, I believe Counselor Smith too did mention at the last meeting that maybe this is something we look at, looking for Habitat for Humanity. And I think that would be a good, you know, kind of, it is a community space, it was used as a community space and it can be continued to use to do good, I guess. So maybe back to your point from the previous meeting, something to consider rather than just listing it for sale. I don't know how often Habitat looks for houses, but, oh, the CIO has a comment there, but.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I was in contact with Lee Taggart today, the Executive Director of Habitat. We're going to set up a meeting in the near future with staff to discuss that, so we can put that on the list.
Yeah, I do know when we opened up the house in Winchester Springs, they arranged just for us to, we had another property in the future to, that'd be great to get it on the list, for sure. So I know they'd be anxious to look at that, and I know Director Jansen's on the board as well, so.
I'm in, through you, Mayor Broad, I'd be more in favor of that then. Is let's pursue that, and if they don't want the land, then let's just move it on to, is it being surplus?
Councilor Eno?
Through you, Mayor, I'd like to see the Habitat venture be, you know, ruled out first. I agree with that. Looking at the property Matilda, I do agree that we need to have a little bit more discussion on this one, because really there's two ways to look at it. You sever the back and sell it to the farm, or you keep the back in case of, and sell the building lot at the front. I think we need to have more discussion on that, because the septic there is a great point, and we should, you know, research the history of that septic system and see, anyways, we need to do more work on that one.
So would it be fair to say, at this point, we deem the 9 surplus, 6 of them are free to list, and 3 of them, we would like to come back with staff information on an RFP for the 14 acres, a plan if we need the house, the space at Matilda, do we sell it all or partial, and then what the plan could be for the park at Matilda. So they wouldn't become for sale immediately, they'd come back with a report on how we would use them as surplus. Would that be fair, Councillor Smith? Okay. Clerk LeBrun, is that, we could do it that way?
Yes, and through you, Mayor Broad. So what I would suggest is on your resolution, so just so that we're removing the same properties, let's just make sure.
Sure.
So the first property, 11530 County Road 18.
Yep.
Okay. The other one would be 4421 County Road 31. Or, sorry. Oh. Okay, gotcha now. And then the last one, no civic number, but the property on number 2, west of Iroquois, 15 acres, 15.53 acres. So those are the 3 that we'll remove from the resolution for the surplus lands, and all the other ones can remain the same.
Okay. And then we can bring a staff report, and we can make a resolution to make them surplus, or, and then how we would deal with those going forward. Okay? Okay, any other discussion? So I have a resolution to declare the following pieces surplus for the municipality of South Dundas, so 6 pieces. Bow Street, Carr Road, County Road 16, west of Willow Road, West End Terrace, Iroquois, and Coyle Drive. Those would be the 6 pieces we'll deem surplus. Okay, okay, moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. And we'll have staff report back on the other 3 properties, surplus, but with a plan, than just listing them. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Clerk LeBrun. 6B, FS 2024-6, audited financial statements 2023. Treasurer Julie Stewart. Welcome,
Thank
Julie.
you. Through you, Mayor Broad. So we have reached our final steps of the 2023 financial year end. Financial statements are complete. Our reserves have been transferred based on the reserve fund policy with MMP's guidance. Jamie Pollock from MMP presented the financial statements at the last meeting, July 17th. So now we're here asking council to approve the 2023 financial statements. If there's any questions?
Thank you, Treasurer Stewart, and thanks to the Treasurer team for completing all the work for 2023
Great, thank you.
as 2024 begins.
Yes.
Any questions or comments for Treasurer Stewart tonight? Okay, seeing none, I have a motion that council report FS 2024-06 to approve the financial statements as presented by MNP LLP on July 17th, 2024. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, 6C, CS 2411 award tender development charges background study. Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad, and to council before you is the report that we've prepared in regards to the development charges background study. So if council remembers, back in February, staff were directed to proceed with an RFP for a development charges background study. So a tender was issued the beginning of July, rather an RFP was issued. At the beginning of July, we've received 3 submissions, DFA Infrastructure, Hemson Consulting, and Watson and Associates. So the 3 submissions were evaluated by our development team. And you can see we have the evaluation criteria included in the report. So the scoring system the municipality used was a 2-envelope system. So we scored it first on the technical portion, and then on the financial portion came later. So you can see that our the proponent that we're recommending is Watson and Associates. Their process was included in the schedule, and it includes a phase of data collection, draft reports. There's going to be a public meeting and then a bylaw passing. So they've included a timeline in their proposal, which was satisfactory to the development team. So the project, if awarded, the project will be completed over the rest of this year and into 2025. The funding will come from the Planning Reserves Fund. And the 2025 allocation of the cost of this will be incorporated into the budget this upcoming year. So we're looking to award the tender to Watson and Associates for $35,480 plus HST, and our current balance in our planning reserve is $49,711. And like I mentioned, the 2025 portion will be budgeted for this year, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions? Councillor Ward?
Thank you, Mayor. So I know you talked about that it'll continue into 2025. Do you know when it will be done in 2025? I'm just hoping.
Yeah, I'm going on based on memory, Councillor Ward, but I believe their timeline was for completion was February.
Oh, excellent. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Questions, comments? Okay. Yeah, no, I think this is great, moving forward to get the report and move forward on the topic at hand. So thank you for that, Clerk LeBrun. So I have a resolution. The council accepts CS 2024-11 to award the tender PE 24-12 development charges background study to Watson Associate Economics Limited for a price of $35,480 plus HST, and that the clerk and the mayor be authorized to execute the contract. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Okay, to do 6D, PF 2024-10 Seniors Active Living Centers Grant Partnership. Director of Parks, Recreation and Facilities, David Jansen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So in front of you tonight is a report with regards to the Senior Active Living Centers Program, or SALC. It's recently growing programs in the province, so they just released an additional $15 million to the program, which is exciting news for many people. I know Melissa and myself also met with the provincial liaison for the area, who's been advocating. I think there was only 2 submissions in Eastern Ontario last year, so she's trying to advocate for the area to get a few more, so we're very excited about that. Both ourselves and JW McIntosh kind of had our own, we were just about to go out and sort of apply against each other. JW McIntosh reached out to myself, and we set up a little meeting and sort of discussed what we were all planning, and decided that a partnership would be it would strengthen our applications rather than the two of us competing against each other. We'd come in and, share some staff resources and, we offer great programming. They have their transportation services and some of the services that they offer. So it's sort of a great collaboration that we're going to combine them and work together in. So outlined in the report, you can see sort of the primary focuses that we have. JW McIntosh focusing a little bit more on, isolated seniors and helping with grocery shopping, and us helping to grow our programs, and also within our Parks and Rec master plan, like active transportation and getting people to programs. So we're hoping to offer transportation to some of our senior programs that we offer. So overall, it just seems like a great partnership, but part of the grant application, if we do a partnership, is to have a resolution from council. So this is that formal part of the steps, but I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Well, it's fantastic. Glad that you were able to reach out and work together with partners in our community. That's the way we should be thinking about things for sure. So questions or comments? Councillor Ward?
Thanks, Mayor. Just a comment. I just really hope to see more of this. Like the mayor said, this is awesome. This is such a creative way to not only use municipal staff and programming, but also JW McIntosh, who we work closely with in the community. So I'm thrilled to see this, and I really hope we get the funding. I hope the province understands that this is a great cohesive partnership. And anyways, I just hope to see more. Good job. Thanks.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Director Jansen. So I have a resolution that Minnesota South Dundas enter into a partnership with JW McIntosh Community Support Services for application to the Senior Active Living Center program. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving to 6E, PF 2411, Tender Award Justice Building. HVAC replacement, Director Jansen.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in front of council tonight is a report with regards to the replacement of the 15-ton HVAC unit on top of the Justice Building. As you'll remember, back in March, we sort of reviewed a few options with regards to sort of a complete HVAC upgrade, just repair, or kind of the middle ground of replace with a smaller unit with a little bit of engineering costs in there. So we've made it through the engineering phase. We went through tender. Unfortunately, this tender closed just after your guys' July deadline, so we're here today in August. Every project obviously has its little complexity, so we did struggle to find that spot where to end our repair. I know the control system there is a little dated versus a newer unit, but we're pretty confident that the contractors got that all sorted out on their end. As you can see, we had 4 bids, and this is to execute the contract.
Very good. Questions, comments? Seeing none, I have a motion that the council accept report PF 2024-11 to award the Justice Building HVAC replacement to Neville HVAC R Inc. in the amount of $48,000 plus HST, and that the clerk and director of Parks, Recreation, Facilities be authorized to execute the contract. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving to 7, bylaws. A, FS 2024-05 Canada Community Building Fund Agreement. Treasurer Stewart.
Through you, Mayor Broad. The Canada Community Building Fund, which was formerly known as the federal gas tax, provides funding to Canadian municipalities annually. In Ontario, the CCBF is administered by AMO. This agreement that we had, it was a 10-year agreement previously. It now has expired. So we now have a new 10-year agreement with AMO for the funding. So in order for the municipality to continue receiving these funds, the agreement needs to be signed by the municipality as well as a bylaw for AMO to administer these funds. So included in this report is the bylaw, and the agreement is also attached. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, we certainly want the funds, so
Yes, we do.
we'll sign after we pass this bylaw, for sure. Councillor Ward?
Yeah, I just want for clarification, maybe for everyone listening as well. So how is that allocation, how's that math done? So how do they determine? Because you'll see in 2023, we had 358, in 2024, we have 347. Can you explain that?
They do base it on population. I tried to look up to see where their calculation is, how exactly they figured out. I couldn't find anything. They do on their website show the 5 years that is allocated to us, and then they reassess after 5 years and give us the next 5 years. But exactly how they determine the amount, I can't seem to find it. But it is based on population.
Very good. Questions, comments? Seeing none. I have a motion that report FS 2024-05 be received, that bylaw 2024-55 being a bylaw to authorize mayor and clerk to enter into a municipal funding agreement with the Association of the Ontario Municipalities for the administration of the Canadian Community Building Fund, be read first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 14th day of August 2024. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Treasurer Stewart. Okay, boards and committees. We'll jump into 8B, South Nation. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. So July 18th, there was a South Nation meeting. So this would have been the first meeting that we had after the whole issue happened with the wetland mapping situation. So I think there was full attendance, and everybody was expecting that it would be kind of a contentious meeting, but it turned out basically nothing happened. There was no members of the public there. There was no media there, and basically because everything just got canceled. So we kind of just went over, the timeline of what happened and what went wrong and those sorts of things, and basically how you can have 15 years of good work done with any organization, and it can be kind of torn apart in 36 hours or so just because of something bad happens. So so that we touched on that. Another thing, some good news though, they're busy doing some trail upgrades at Two Creeks right now, and they're probably early fall going to have maybe a grand reopening of the original trail at Two Creeks, and so we may be getting invited there for a grand reopening day, maybe a ribbon cutting or something like that.
Excellent.
So we can look forward to that in the
Good.
future. So
Good. No, that's great. And after the cancellation of the wetlands mapping, I was, clearing some of my statements that it's really important that we just build trust and build communication up, right? Because no matter what has happened, we still have residents and the municipality working with the Conservation Authority every day on properties today, right? And working on that. So we'll just keep that line of communication, and thank you for your time on the committee, and we'll keep working with everybody in the group. And glad to see after Carl's visit last year, we've got some activity at Two Creeks to keep that forest an active walking area, which I know a lot of residents love that area. So thank you for that, Councillor Smith. C, Iroquois Waterfront Committee, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'll defer to
Director Jansen.
Yeah, so we did have a meeting on July 24th. Yet again, we're continuing it's the heart of summer, so they were in depth in all of their projects. I know the wire's going in this week for the lighting. They're already starting to plan for next year's lighting projects. A few other small little things that they were working on, a couple grant opportunities and small projects there, but really they're just wrapping up some of this year's projects, and things are motoring along there. A little bit more discussion, I think a pretty good discussion about wildflowers there. They're still they have some that are sitting on a shelf that they're trying to figure out exactly the best way to plant there. So, and then they did have a quick little discussion with regards to the OPP delegation that you guys had last time in security cameras. So they're hoping to make a recommendation going forward to council with regards to that, but that's forthcoming.
Excellent. Thank you, Director Jansen. Okay, back over here. 8D, Youth Working Group, Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. So we've had a few meetings. We're trying to sort out some events that we want to do throughout the year. We are looking to do some more recruitment to the Youth Advisory Working Group. So we will be, there's going to be an orientation at the high school, so we plan on trying to get some grade 7, 8s, and 9s. So working with Melissa on that. We also are going to work with a new principal at Seaway because there's a new principal there. So we're hoping to move some of our meetings to the actual high school to just get a little bit more participation. But we will be having a fall event, and we plan on having it art themed. So more details to follow on that one, but we're thinking sometime in October for that. So.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Ward. E, Rito St. Lawrence Annual General Meeting. So 2 weeks ago, we were in Prescott, had the annual meeting. Jamie Pollock from MMP presented the budget. Everything was passed and everything was audited correctly. continue to work on the user shareholder agreement, so that's more info to come. Board members were re-elected, same board members from all the different communities were re-elected or re-nominated at that time, and good profitable season last year, and hoping to continue that into 2024. So our share was up this year from the profits on that. Economic Development Meeting, continue to work on the bike path, so that's exciting. We're getting the volunteers, we're gonna be doing some painting eventually and new signage in the spring, and we're working with all the different groups that are associated with the bike path, so that's some of the good work that a couple of members are working on. Awards, a night, volunteer recognition night in October, so we've started the applications for nominees. That's posted, and obviously once we get into September, we'll have a lot more information on the calendar events for the night and the invitations, and getting that a little more public. Certainly consider spend some time looking at the strat plan, which we're gonna, for getting input from that group on the strat plan. Continue to talk doctor recruitment and all the other activities on the economic tourism side. Anything to add on that one, Director Mills?
Through you,
Anyone
Mr.
else?
Mayor, just one item related to the Iroquois locks. So we've had a lot of feedback from the community, staff. I think council would certainly be disappointed with some of the things that have been or not been addressed at the locks. So I've been in contact with the Vice President of External Affairs. We have a local board member who lives in Long Sault who sits on the board. And we're assured that this week they're meeting as an executive and they're going to respond to a number of complaints that we've all seen online with the condition of the fence, the overgrowth, the lack of washroom facilities, and I think the last one is the ice cream stand, which people are missing as well. So hopefully in the next council meeting, I'll have an update.
Excellent, thank you, CEO Mills. And lastly, Morrisburg Waterfront, Councillor Vino.
All right, through Mayor Rob, we had a good meeting last night. To start it off, we had to start 15 minutes late because the Tubi committee, every member after following the Tubi event, gets some money to donate back to the community. This year we had a very, very strong showing at the event, and so each committee member had $500 to donate, and so two of the members chose to donate their $500, totaling $1,000 to the Waterfront Committee. And that was decided to be allocated straight to our new multi-use pad. So along with some funding from the Lions Club, we've got a few $1,000s already started for that. So that was a good thing. Along those same lines, we have decided as a committee to form a working group for the multi-use pad for volunteers to help fundraise. And so we put out a call to for help through Facebook, and I've got 6 very interested parties, and so we're going to try, I got emailed tomorrow, we're going to try and set up a meeting for September 16th in the evening, which is the day before our next Waterfront Committee meeting, to kind of come up with a plan and how we can integrate these volunteers into helping us fundraise for this. We talked about involving the Horticultural Society to design and install some plantings and benches around the compass, the interlock piece in the center of the park over here. So that's forthcoming. The viewing platform, the second viewing platform next to the pavilion, is now complete, and there will be a grand opening from the Lions Club coming up. Movie night, so the last movie night was Jaws at the Beach, and it was extremely well attended. They figure around 200 people, so that's very good. The next one is this coming Saturday. The weather is not looking favorable. However, they do still plan to hold it. It'll be in the lobby at the arena. So we're excited to see, we're curious to see if that'll bring more or less people, That's it.
Cool, very good.
That's it.
Awesome. It came to my mind when you were talking about the volunteer group. Have you engaged with the group that had done the splash pad?
The original park?
Yeah.
At Earl Baker Park?
Yeah, the group that had.
There's a couple members from that have
Good.
reached out
Okay.
for this.
Okay, good.
Because ultimately that is the goal. I have a picture on my wall at work of when that was completed and the amount of people that were in the group photo and the amount of parties that were involved in that. We'd really like to see the same thing come together for this project.
That'd be good. Excellent. Okay. Any other committee meetings? Seeing none. Long list of consent agenda items under 9A, rescue truck out of service replacement vehicle, the radio communications capital update, C, new medical priority dispatch system, D, employee assistance program for South Dundas Fire Emergency Service, E, Iroquois Waterfront Park request for use, F, Dual EV charges grant app, G, Morrisburg Waterfront Subcommittee members appointed, H, statistics, building and bylaw for July, I, memorandum on emergency management Ontario modernization of the Emergency Management and Civil Act, J, memorandum Municipal Engineers Association Ontario Provincial Standards, K, resolution Prince Edward County, deadline of accessible Ontario by 2025, L, resolution Township of Otonabee, South Monaghan, regulations for the importation and safe use of lithium-ion batteries. M, minutes, South Nation Conservation Board of Directors meeting for May, and N, South Nation Board of Directors meeting for June, and O, the Bullard Plaza's use of property. A question by Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Just a question here, and I apologize, Mayor Broad, for not kind of catching this in the agenda, because I was just reading the whole agenda without really following the agenda without
Got
following.
it. Yeah,
the
let's go
right?
ahead.
I'm curious on why A, B, and C is not an action request, because it has budget implications versus it being in the general consent items.
Sure. We could pull that for discussion if that was what you'd like to
Well, I guess
do.
I'm just wondering why it would be in there, first of all, if there's a rationale why it would be there versus the action, because if it's a budget item, should it not be initially a council discussion? So I'm just curious. Yeah, please.
Through you, Mayor Broad, and to the rest of council. So the rescue truck report was added to the consent agenda as information because of the timeline in which we want the vehicle replaced. And Chief Eldred Hughes, I'm sure, could jump in to talk about the process. However, there is a need to replace this truck in a timely manner. So what we outlined in the report were the steps that Chief Eldred Hughes took in securing a potential replacement for that vehicle. So that's why it's in consent. It's more for information that this is what we're doing, this is what we've done. However, if it's the desire of council to have a discussion on it and to get the feedback, then by all means, this is what we are here to do. That's specific to A. B is the radio communications, same situation. It was a budgeted item, I think, to replace the radios. Chief Hughes, Eldred Hughes, I don't know, you can jump in on this one. But I believe we put it in consent because we found another method, or I guess a different.
Sorry, I can speak to that. So through you, Mr. Mayor, we had originally budgeted 24,000 in capital to start replacing radios. The fire service has been struggling with communications to the point where we've had no radio communications. We've been using cell phones to contact dispatch. The provider we were using last fall during budget time explained to us that we needed to start replacing radios, and that's why we had put that 24,000 capital aside for that. Once we got into 25 and we started looking at different types of radios and companies, we suffered a huge communications shutdown, which then resulted in finding out that our entire system had been down and we were working on a backup system. So one company was able to step up and come and get our communications back online. Radio communications, as you know, is very vital for fire service and operations. So this was a repair that needed to happen immediately, and so that's what we've done. That company has since sat down with me, and we even spoke again today to put together a 3 and 5 year capital project plan to bring back to council for scheduling the replacement of radios and stuff. Because of these repairs and the things that they had found and completed for us, we're now in a position that we don't need to buy radios today. So it was kind of along the same lines as any other infrastructure that was shut down, and we needed to fix it. So this is a report just outlining everything that had failed in the system, what we did to repair it and get back online, and why we're now not spending the $24,000 or $28,000 in capital.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, through you, Mayor Broad. So I appreciate that explanation on your second report. I got to admit, I'm not sure I'm in agreement on your first, I'm just waiting for it, on the first statement that says buying a vehicle is a necessity.
So I'll speak to that as well. The vehicle that we had has been taken out of service.
Understood,
So,
but is it a
because-
pickup truck?
Yep.
And we've got
So-
an extra pickup truck that you're just transferring. All I'm saying is, I don't want to get into the debate about the actual report. I just feel that this particular report should have came to council. I don't think it was an emergency that we had to go out and buy a new vehicle or purchase a vehicle. And I think this is one of the things where I think council needs to have a voice and should be aware before we move forward in purchasing another vehicle. Is just my statement I'd like to say. Okay, so I'd like in the future to see that as more of action items, so we can at least have an understanding, at least have a debate that what we're moving forward with is collectively, because the way it's been sold is we're a team, and we're all a team, so I think the report should have came before the action, so we could have a discussion about it. Well, I'm not sure if others feel the same way, but that's just my opinion.
Councilor Ward?
Thank you, Mayor. So I would agree. I did have this conversation with the clerk. I actually had the same question as the deputy mayor did earlier on. And I do think, you know, with all due respect to the fire chief, I understand that you felt it was an emergency, but the purchasing of a vehicle, I think, does need to come through council. It is a new asset. Perhaps we might not have wanted to go with a used vehicle. Maybe we would have, but it's already done, so we can't provide any input.
It's not done.
It's not done. So are we? So then maybe it should come back as an action if it's not done. Sorry, I misunderstood that. So if it's not done, perhaps to the deputy mayor's point, it should come back and then we can, oh, maybe it is done. I don't know. Yes, no.
Sorry. So also, agenda item C relates to A. So through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm sure everybody had an opportunity to read that report with the new MPDS medical dispatching system. So we're utilizing Class G vehicles out of our fire halls to service medical calls now, that we have delays in paramedic response. We've even had incidences where we've sat with patients long enough that they've refused our care and called family members to transport them. So in an effort to keep full-size pumper rescues that house extrication equipment and other vital services that the community needs, to keep them free and tied up from being on a medical call for an hour and a half, and to ensure that we can get people out responding quickly without waiting for a D-class driver. These vehicles are now being utilized in a different method than we have before. So that's part of the reason why this was seen as an urgency. So the pickup truck that I normally drive has been put into service at a fire station now and for daily operations.
Councilor Reno?
Yeah, I understand that, and I appreciate the using the G-Class vehicles. I know we struggle with DZ drivers. the next meeting is forthcoming, can we have an action request and we can talk about this, the actual purchase of what vehicle? I see you've got all of them laid out in this report, so I mean, turning this into an action request should be a relatively easy task. Can we put that on the agenda next so we can talk about it? Because I do agree, buying any vehicle, I mean, buying radios or fixing radios is one thing. Buying adding an asset to the fleet, that's something that the council needs to deal with. I mean, we've always used pumpers to get to the medical calls. So if we have to wait a month or 2 weeks to the next council meeting to approve the purchase of something, I think personally, we can probably get by with the equipment that we have. So I'd like to see this come back as an action report, and it's laid out like one. So I mean, but I'd like to have a better discussion about it.
Okay, so we'll move 6A from consent agenda to next meeting. So I have a resolution, unless there's any further comments. Councillor Ward?
Sorry, Mayor. Yes, so can we also have 6C come back as well? I would like to just have a little bit more understanding, like, it was a great report. I'd just like to have a bit more discussion about, you know, the budget implications of that specific thing. Because, as I'm sure we're all aware, if an ambulance responds to a call, they are provincially funded as well as taxpayer funded. But if fire is responding to ambulance calls now, I just want to understand how that's going to be funded. And I think that would be a good discussion to have as well for us. If you don't mind, I just think it'd be good information.
Okay, I have a resolution that, C.O. Mills?
Yeah. So through you, Mr. Mayor, in the end, I'll just, to you, through you to council, is that in the end, I sign off on the agenda. So we did talk this through, and we understand certainly where it's coming from council. You know, when I met with Chief Aldred Hughes a few times this week, and even when we were passing out in the parking lot today, like he has given up the chief vehicle in order to provide for not only transportation to and from fire calls, but also for the medical calls. And yes, it is a change that's come down from the province, and we're required to adapt to that. Just to add before we come back, so just to plant the seed when we come back for council in September, that to honor the past with that there were the fire halls paid for a few of the pickup trucks, right? So we understand that, you know, it was paid for in another means before, but they've come to the end of their life cycle, and we have. So here's the thought process, and then we can move on. When it came to the end, is we've had a number of pieces of fleet machinery that have required a lot of funds put into them in the last 2 years, and we couldn't put it into the vehicle, but we understand.
Very good. So I have a resolution under consent agendas be adopted as presented, 6B and 6D through O. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Any notices of motion? Seeing none. Number 12, ratification bylaw. That bylaw number 2024-56 being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with resolution be read and passed and open, council signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. And I have a motion that they adjourn the meeting to meet again at call of the chair. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. So we bring to a close the meeting for Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. I'd like to give a shout out to all those folks that have been doing fundraising around golf tournaments and other events. Certainly seeing lots of pictures with donations to different events. The Iroquois Business Group make donations. Certainly all of the volunteers for the Iroquois Fly-In Breakfast, huge success. Big shout out to the Ross Video employees. They did all the cooking that morning. It was a great event up in Iroquois Waterfront. And of course, 2 weekends ago, we hosted the Tubi weekend here in Morrisburg. So thanks to all those committee members that volunteered their time. And certainly shout out to all the parade participants, because the parade was one of the best we've seen in a long time. The effort shows how how important in the community it was. Everybody put a great effort in, so. And thank you for, we had a major rainstorm on Friday, 100 millimeters, 120 millimeters of rain, so thank you to all the folks that helped clean up, prepare the ball diamonds for the 22 provincials as well. So there was lots of activities all throughout the municipality, so thank everybody for that. So with that, I'll say